All right, so we are getting share, yep. All right, once LaTonja and Eric get in here, we will add them. Hey, Kelly. Oh, thanks. Thanks. We matching today too. All right. LaTonja, do you have a option? Are you on your phone, or you have to be on a phone or iPad so I can bring you on? Because it doesn't give me the option right now yet to bring you on. Oh, that's not your thingy. Girl, go. Go. You know better. Sorry, y'all. Kids. I can't unlock. It's not taking my fingerprint. Gotta do your password. Thanks. I'm just waiting. We're excited. Today we are talking about love and marriage. Did you ever used to watch that show?
Married with Children.
Married with Children, yeah.
Goes together like a horse and carriage.
That was my show for a while. So we are just waiting. Hey, Pashana, how you doing, girl? Hey. We're just waiting for the Ellises. Can you request? Like, does it say? Yep. You got a request. Says you want to be in the video. Cool. Cool. Hey. Got you. Hey.
How's it going? Good technology.
Yep. You guys got to put on headphones though, so that there's no feedback.
Okay.
I don't hear anything.
Tired. Just left. Strolled. Oh, I'm sorry.
Chucky on here. Hey, Chucky.
Hey, Chucky. Yeah. No, I hear an echo. Hey, Karen. Y'all coming through tonight. That beautiful weather. That's what it was.
Right.
It was sunny. We were in Indiana most of the day, and it was sunny like all day. Like, it got hot. It was like 81 at one point. I was like, I love this.
That's right.
I forgot to tell y'all gotta have like tea or something. That's like our thing when we get on here. It's like we always got tea.
Really?
Mm-hmm. How do you make your tea? Eric, you tried to come at me for putting cream in my tea because I'm British.
No, I don't do that.
I don't have any cream today. This is just Earl Grey. We got Earl Grey over here today.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
This is hilarious.
It was a long day. I really want a hot toddy, but I was like, I need to be fresh for the broadcast.
Say that laughing. Silly. Okay, that's better.
Cool. Well, we are gonna get right on started. So, first, I want to, you guys, you can introduce yourselves. Tell a little bit just who you are, how long you guys have been married, and whatever else you want to share.
You can go.
Hey everybody, I'm Eric Ellis. This is my wife LaTonja Ellis. Let me see, we've been married for 7 years now.
Look, you gotta think about it.
No, this 19, so it's almost 8 years. It'd be 8 years, a couple months.
Hey.
Yeah. No, yeah, a couple of weeks, yeah.
He said a couple of months, Lord Jesus.
And it's been an adventure. So I'll leave it at that.
A journey.
Oh, that's the question I had. What's been your favorite thing about marriage so far?
The journey.
Yeah,
Agree.
Okay.
yeah. The journey, the companionship, the sharing experiences,
The emotions, the all of
yeah,
that, yeah.
the instant feedback.
I like that instant feedback.
Oh yeah, instant feedback.
Right.
Nice. Oh, I guess we can go. So
Um, um, yeah,
just your name.
my name is Cliff. Hello,
We know your name,
everybody.
Cliff.
This is Rachel, if you didn't already know. We've been married a little over 6 months now.
Hmm.
I
Ooh.
believe my favorite part of our marriage so far has been the companionship, having a road dog the entire way, somebody to have my back, somebody that I can have their back. The bond that we're building. That's been my favorite part.
Hmm.
Sweet.
I think my favorite part of marriage has been, oh, I think definitely the companionship, but I think like the learning somebody all over again, like learning
Mm.
your likes and dislikes, and having a partner. Because I was very much used to doing things by myself and like being in survival mode and constantly like grinding, grinding, grinding. And it's nice to have somebody that balances that out, where I we partner on a lot of things. So I like that.
True. So was it
Yes.
hard to
What was
get out of that mode?
it still is, I'm not gonna lie, it's still a challenge because my first instinct is like, oh, how do I figure this out? What do I need to do? Blah blah blah, instead, and then I have to like pause and then be like, wait, we're a team, it's not just on me, so let me give him the opportunity to like share his suggestions and like things, or help me shoulder the burden, because that was one thing where I was kind of just like, I was like, I just have to do this by myself. So allowing someone else to share that burden with me, and knowing that they don't feel obligated, but it's because they want to.
True.
Yeah. So I thought that we could talk a little bit. Did you guys get a chance to do the love languages quiz, or were you familiar like with your love languages?
Yeah, yeah. We read the book. It's been some years now,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Nice.
It
It was
actually
so
was a
funny. I
part of
actually
our
just talked
counseling.
about it with a client yesterday because that's one of the first things I'll do in couples counseling is I make them take that love languages quiz, and I make them take the
Hmm.
apology language quiz because communication is key. We talked about that a little bit when we did the communication therapy Thursday, and it's all about like if you're communicating in one language but your partner is not receiving it, like it's not gonna work out. Y'all gonna be missing each other the whole
Right.
time.
Mm.
Right.
So what are you guys your love languages, and what are your apology languages? And bonus points if you can say what your partner's is. And be right.
This is not what I came for.
So my love language is acts of service, and I haven't done apology languages.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know my apology language, but I think my love language is definitely
I know
physical
it.
touch.
Quality times.
Yeah, quality time. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So mine is acts of service and quality time, but more of acts of service.
Okay. So what does that look like for you two? Because you have different ones that are kind of that priority. So how do you speak in one another's love language?
Sometimes we don't.
That's real.
That's real. You about to say something?
um, I mean, you have to. I think I have to be really, really conscious if I'm showing love, not to show love to her in my way, because she doesn't receive that love. So I have to be conscious that, she preferred me to wax the car out of all things, and she'd really appreciate that as opposed to, me rubbing her back or something. She'd prefer to rub the car, to wax on the car. So I have to be, really conscious if I'm
That's
showing
true.
love to have that understanding.
That's
That is
real.
true though.
Yeah.
And for me, since his primary love language is quality time, it's hard
Mm-hmm.
because I am all over the place all the time. I'm
Yes.
busy, busy, busy. I'm working, I'm in school, I'm church, I'm doing everything. But I have to realize that since that is his love language, when that doesn't happen, then it's like, oh. you don't love me anymore. You haven't
Mm,
spent any time with me. He doesn't have to physically say that, but I
right.
just know that when he gets to that point where it's like you're not spending any time with me, what's the problem? So I have to
Right.
just rewind and say, oh, okay, I forgot. Your
Hmm.
love language is this, and then I have to readjust for that.
Yeah. Now you've been married almost 8 years. Have you noticed that your love language has changed?
Yes, yes.
Mine hasn't. I just took the quiz again, and it's the same.
Okay.
So what did yours change to?
No, cause I would say at first, I was more. So I believe I'm kind of split between the two,
Hmm.
but I believe at first I was more of a acts of service. I really appreciated, Tanja. I found that she liked to cut grass and do things around the house, and I
I
really
do.
appreciated that. It took away a lot of the burden. But I think it changes as like as your needs change.
Hmm.
So as our life change, she becomes more busy, and now I yearn for more quality time.
Hmm.
So it seems to change according to what I need more of as our life change.
Yeah, that's good.
That's true.
What we'll see what we can answer from each other. I know we just took them earlier. What is my love language, and then I'll answer what yours is.
I believe your main one is acts of service.
Hmm. And yours, and this was the thing, his changed. So when we first started dating, it was very much physical touch. But now it's quality time. And it was kind of that same thing where it's like our schedules change. And even though we live
Yeah.
together now, it was like, oh man, like we see each other every day, but it's like that quality time. It's like being intentional about the time that we spend together.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. I got to pull a mama move. Little girl, go to bed. It's bedtime. Good night. I will be in there in a second. Go to bed. Get off the floor. Go to bed.
This is also a part of marriage.
Yeah.
Kids.
Oh yeah. I can't wait till we get to that subject. We've been talking about that all day. But so what are ways I guess that we speak in each other's love languages, or do you feel like we effectively speak in each other's love languages?
I think we very much do speak effectively in each other's languages. I try to do what I can for just trying to say, what can I do for you? How can I help? Offering foot rubs, offering to, if she's tired in the morning and we have to get Maya to school, I'll take her to school, or
Woo! That
Pray acts of service, girl.
yes.
I try.
I like to call it a love cup that overflows me when it's like you know that I got I'm just tired and you go on your day off get up and leave at the house at 6:30. Oh, bless the Lord. I'm just like,
Okay.
yes, you love me
Yes.
today. You for real love me today. um so the apology language, I know you guys didn't get a chance to take the quiz, but I'm going to tell you just what the different categories are, and then just from that just see if you could identify what you think yours might be, and then we'll talk about it. So the first one is accepting responsibility. And so that's that. This is how you want people to apologize to you. This could be either your spouse or just family, friends, but accepting responsibility so that they're saying I'm wrong. Making restitution, so doing something to make it up to you for how they wronged you. Genuinely repent, so again, them being able to say, okay, I'm wrong, and this is what I'm going to do to make sure I don't do it again.
Hmm.
Requesting forgiveness, so just saying I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And I think, yeah, I think that was actually all of them. Hmm.
So what was the first one again? Because that
Um,
resonated with me.
Accepting
So
responsibility.
expressing, I'm gonna read them over again. So expressing regret, accept responsibility, make restitution, genuinely repent, and request forgiveness.
I think I got a combination of a couple of those,
Okay.
depending on the situation. So I think it would be expressing responsibility, and then the one with forgiveness.
Excuse me. Okay. Requesting forgiveness and accepting responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Eric?
What was the first one again?
Expressing
Expressing regret.
responsibility.
Oh, I
Oh
think
no, expressing regret.
expressing regret. I think yeah, I think that's enough for me. Just I'm sorry what I did. Weird about it. I don't there doesn't have to be an action behind it for me.
Mhm.
It's just that expressing that, yeah, I did something wrong. Just to hear, yeah, I did something wrong.
Right.
Like, okay, you understand me, and
Right.
that's pretty much enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that I no.
And so
I need
so
some.
that's
I need
enough.
some
So
behind
what
that.
would be enough for you, LaTonja?
It would have to be yes. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that, but I accept that I did something wrong
Mhm.
too. So there's some acknowledgement and accountability for me.
Yes. Yeah. What is yours?
Let me see real quick. Let me just make sure I got the right one. So I don't. Let me see. Accept responsibility. Yeah, just owning up and saying, "Look, my bad. I messed up. I'm sorry." It goes a long way because there's so many people out there that will just keep on with the keep on and never even acknowledge it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same as you, LaTonja. I'm very much like you can be sorry, but I need you to know why you're sorry. I need you to know like why this hurt me and acknowledge like not just that you hurt me, but like how you hurt me because I feel like then you can learn from it and then it won't happen again. So so knowing that you guys have different apology languages, have you seen examples where maybe you were apologizing in the way that you wanted to be apologized to, but it wasn't really resonating with your partner?
Oh yeah,
Oh Lord, yes.
all the time.
Okay.
There is a clear difference
Mhm.
in us apologizing in any issue.
It's like I heard you apologize, but I need you to really apologize to me.
And I heard you, but no, that ain't enough. I need you to come with something else. Seriously, did you understand what I said?
Yeah.
Like, so it's always that I'm missing something that he's saying, and he's missing something that I'm saying,
Mhm.
and we just have to go back and say, okay, for real, I'm sorry. What are we gonna do to make this better?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's good. Do you find yourself like pushing the other person to get closer to like how you need to receive it?
oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
That's good. What about you? Like if I do you feel like I apologize in your language or do you like feel like you have to push me?
No, not at all. You're very intuitive about it, and like us having taken the quizzes has helped a lot. But
Mhm.
I notice it a lot, like in the love languages and the apology languages, that she's just natural at it, and like it was funny taking the test today and just like looking at all this stuff, and it's just like, oh, she does do that. She just does it. Like
That's
it's
good.
very nice.
And I will say it does not come naturally, so I'm not even going, hold y'all on that. It's definitely like it's a very intentional thing. Like with even,
It's some work.
I had our daughter take the love language quiz today to say like, okay, what's your love language? And she's like, why are you doing this? I'm like, because it's important because like I can love you the way I think you need to be loved, but if that's not doing nothing for you, then it's just like that's nice, but that's not good enough. So I was like, it's very, very intentional. So yeah, it's like my first reaction might not be to say, hey, you want quality time. I might just be like, I'm tired. We here, cool. But I have to intentionally be like, okay, let's do this together, and not just be like, well, I see you. So it's a very
Yeah, we in
intentional
the
thing.
same room. I'm good.
Yeah, and then I never take it for granted too. Like, I mean, I have years of schooling that teaches me how to do this, so it's like it's a little
Oh,
bit easier.
yeah.
I'm like, okay, like I probably should be doing this, but all that. But I say you're really good at it too, especially like once you learned like what it was for me. Like you're really good at being like, I need to do this, so that's good, and I appreciate that a lot.
It's about intentionality, that's for
Yes,
sure. Yeah.
absolutely. What do you think is the most important thing you've learned about yourself from marriage?
Oh Lord Jesus. What have I learned? Eric, you can go ahead because I gotta think about that.
What have I learned? I've learned that I just get to the root of it. There's more than me. There's a greater good. There's a greater good that's a greater good for me. So if I feed into this marriage, it actually reciprocates and comes back to being a greater good to me. So
Mhm.
I've learned that it may initially feel like sacrifice, but it's actually you're paying it forward and blessing yourself in a way. So
That's good.
put it in, you get back out. So
Yeah.
Let me see what I've learned about myself in this marriage. that I am no longer an individual and I have to be a team
Yeah.
versus, because of course I'm queen independent. Like, I ain't gotta have you to do nothing. That was my mantra for most of my life. So the last 10 years has been like, oh wow, yeah, I probably do need to talk to Eric about that versus me saying I'm doing this, this.
Mhm.
So it's really been more about learning to compromise because that's not something that comes easily to me.
Right.
So learning how to compromise and, like Eric said, for the greater good, what's the greater good of us versus the greater good of me?
That's good. That reminds me of there's a book called Sacred Marriage. Have you guys read that?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
It's called Sacred Marriage, and it's a what if marriage is designed to make you more holy than happy. And it talks about how your marriage is like that's how you glorify God by serving your spouse and being there for your spouse, you know. And so, like you say, that greater good that it's like it's so much bigger than just like, is this making me happy? You know, is this something that's satisfying me? But in serving your spouse, you're able to see like, okay, man, this really is serving a greater good because this is part of the way that I worship God is how I treat my
Right,
spouse.
right.
It's deep. What was the what was the question? Most important thing you've learned about yourself through marriage.
The most important thing that I've learned about myself is that sometimes I need to take a step back and
Mm.
that I can't fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had a habit of my life of trying to be Captain Save 'em, and it stresses me, it stresses you, and yeah, sometimes I just need to take a step back and realize I can't solve everything. Sometimes I need to, if there's whatever going on, sometimes I just need to let it go. Need to let you work out things in your own time, in your own way. And yeah, I can't do everything. That
Mm-hmm.
True.
That's that's good. You figured that out already.
Early,
And
early.
it
You
takes a
have a
lot of
future
pressure
ahead of
off
you.
too, you know, when it's because sometimes the other person just wants to be heard, and not they don't want to be fixed. They just want to be heard, you know. So
Right.
that's important, and being able to tell the difference. Yeah, for me, I learned that um I'm probably a lot more selfish than I thought I was. You know, I thought that I had crucified some things in me that I was just like, okay, I've worked this out and blah blah blah. But like I said, I for me a lot of things are very intentional because my
Mm-hmm.
first nature might not be to do that. Like I feel like yes, I'm a kind and loving person, but my first nature might not be to be kind and loving in that situation. I have to intentionally say, okay, um am I doing this like if I make this smart comment, am I gonna demean him? Am I gonna, you know, emasculate him? Am I going to, you know, make him feel like what purpose is that gonna serve me to make him feel bad? You know,
Mm-hmm.
especially if we're a team, we're one, like that's not gonna serve any purpose. So I have to then be in that moment and say, okay, what you know, how can I build up in this situation? And so it's less about me and being okay, I know I'll feel good if I say this, but he's not. And then in consequence, I'm not either. So yeah, learning to yeah, not be so selfish. What I was
Yeah,
let's see, that was the greatest lesson I have learned was just sometimes your partner just wants to be heard. Yeah, Brent,
I can
absolutely.
agree.
Yeah, because and it's very easy, especially like for me, I'm a natural nurturer, and then you're like a natural fixer. So it's like you want to do things for your partner, but realizing that it's not always your responsibility to fix the problem. It's more about like, okay, how can I maybe just support them in that problem?
It's funny because I'm not the nurturer in the relationship at all. I'm the fixer, Cliff.
That's good.
He's the nurturer in the house.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned after times that I had a rough day, uh she just come in and just dump on me, and I've learned to just be there to just accept that,
Mm-hmm.
just be that receptacle, and it serves a purpose. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And the same with me. He may have a bad day and come home and like these people, and then it's fine. It's like, oh, okay,
Right.
Yeah.
no need for me to comment, but
Nope.
it just happens.
That just triggered an interesting thought. So I was doing I had a couple this weekend. We talked about knowing when the other person needs me time. So when you think about like that alone time and that me time, do you know when your partner needs it and how much they need?
So I know when I need it myself, but that doesn't mean that he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're in the midst of some disagreement, I may be like, I'm gone, I'm walking off. He hates that. Like he hates that with a passion. So whereas I'm thinking I need me time before I say something that I shouldn't say,
Mhm.
he's like, you just really walked away from me. When honestly I'm just trying to walk away so I can process.
Mhm.
So I need that me time in that moment.
Right.
But I don't know if in the midst of it we even realize that that's what it is. It just happens.
Yeah.
But outside of a disagreement, I can't say Tanja ever needs me time. She's always I don't know, she's always social and yeah, I can't say. But when I when when I need me time, I don't I don't know if Tanja I don't think she knows when I need me time. I
Mm,
can't
I know when I get on his nerves, yeah, that he needs me time.
And me time
At
doesn't
the,
necessarily have to be like, oh, I just need a break from the other person. It could be like
right,
that's just your like self care time. This is like when I don't have to do anything, like just doing something for me.
right. Like I don't, I don't think that we do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's another thing. So that brings it back to, you know, the intentionality of things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't do a lot of that, then of course I don't know when your me time is. Now Eric will go to the movies without me, which I fight him on. So I will consider that some me time.
Mm-hmm.
But of course it's because I'm doing something else.
Right.
see, I think that you know, because of our schedule, you know, I have an abundance of me time. So
Mm.
she never, you know, there's never that yearning to, oh, Eric needs me time.
That's true.
So you know, the same way. So when we see each other, it's never like, oh, I think I need some me time. It's like, hey, where you been? Come here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know, you never express that. Oh, I need some me time because we're, you know, when we see each other, it's like, oh, let's make the best of this.
Right.
Right. That's interesting. I think I'm like the exact opposite. So like I'm one of those extroverted introverts. Like
Yeah.
I work in two professions that cause me to be around people a lot. And I do a lot that drains me. So, but I get drained when I'm around people, and that's something I had to learn about myself. Because at first I didn't
Mhm.
understand it, and I was just like, no, like it's draining. Like I feel so tired, and so I will have to like I'm like I need time. And so and then it's an interesting balance because we're still newlyweds, so it's very much like, okay. We want to spend a whole lot of time together, but I'm also like, I know I can get overwhelmed by that too because I feel like that pressure to be on, and sometimes I just don't want to be. So it might just be like, hey, if you're off, and I know like I have breaks at work, like yeah, we could talk, but I feel like I try to be really good about saying, hey, I'll text you back in like an hour. I'm about to listen to my audiobook for a while, because
Right.
I just need I need some me time, and I'm almost like I recharge when I'm by myself. And I know that if
Mm.
I continue like try to force myself to be in those social, even with you, like if it's it like anything, like it's I don't know, it's just it drains me. So yeah, like
Yeah,
I know I need that.
she'll just flat out tell me, she's like, no offense, I need to decompress, so I'll call you back. And she's like, okay.
Yeah. And then sometimes I feel bad because like I'll know you want to talk and I'll be like, oh, but then I'll be like, but I really need this. So, and I have to sacrifice, and then I'm like, okay, I'll stay on the phone for a few more minutes or something like that. So I mean that'll be very like intentional too, saying, okay, like I know that you had a bad day and you might want to talk, and even if I'm not feeling it, I'm still gonna give you that time. But then know that okay, maybe I just might need this time later. What about you and your me time? I feel like the more you get into fatherhood, you're learning the value of me time.
Me time.
A little bit, yeah.
Absolutely.
I just try and sneak little moments here and there where I can. If it's just me in the morning, a couple of rounds of something on the PlayStation, or after I get off of work, I'll just sit there for a little bit and just like let all of that stuff go. Like
Mhm.
because of like the travel and like being around it, it's actually the same as what you were talking about being sociable. I didn't realize that until now, but like for the most part, I don't like people too much, but I'd rather go
My
and
shirt says,
I'm around them.
"Sorry." My shirt says, "Sorry, I'm not that good at peopling."
I love it.
I need
I
to find
need
one of
that shirt
those.
too.
But yeah, I drive a bus and people want to talk all the time. And it's just like, you see, I'm trying to focus on the road, but you're still talking. You're still talking. You're trying to put your phone in my face. Leave me alone. They never do. And you just have to deal with that and take your time where you can.
Yeah.
Right.
And then another interesting thing that I was thinking about was the fact that you're very shy usually around other people, but not with me. And so he will be like, I'm shy, but I'm like, but you talk my ear off. So that was another thing too, is like, and like when you're comfortable around somebody, then you open up, and like most of the time I'm the only person around that you feel comfortable with. So then it's like I'm also like I'll feel like, okay, well I gotta give him that time too, because like no, it's okay, I don't mind. But like I'm like I gotta give him that time because he doesn't have anywhere else like to take this. But or you have like people, but like I'm probably the most like comfortable person, more person you talk to most often. So it'll be like he'll just be like, just get off work and be like, babe, and I'm just like, oh, okay, hey.
That's why, like, I don't even really like ask her to respond. I'll just talk, just to talk.
Yeah. Oh, we used to do that a lot when we were dating. You'd be like, he'd be like, I know you're not gonna respond. I'm just gonna talk. You can fall, like we, especially at night, like you can fall asleep. It's okay, but I'm just gonna talk. And he legit would just talk, and I would feel so bad. But I'm like, well, he's just getting it out. He just wanted to talk to me. But yeah, it was, But I feel like now, I mean, like we're getting better at the balance of saying, okay, this is like making sure that we decompress from our days together and like figuring that out.
So, I have a quick question because you just made me think about something. When you said you would fall asleep. So Eric and I were dating, and he would literally wait until I fall asleep and hang the phone up. so, so it made me think about, how did you all meet?
How did we meet? Do you want to tell this story or do you?
You can tell it.
So we actually met on a dating site because we both again were like super introverted and like unless Jesus dropped somebody on my doorstep, I'm not gonna meet nobody. So we met on a dating site and yeah, we started just like a kind of a friendship. We started using Marco Polo a lot, and so we would send each other videos like every day. And I was just like, I don't know. I was like, I'm a very strong personality, so I was just like, we gonna have to see how this works. But it was good. We had a really good balance, like from the jump. I was surprised by how witty he was. Like, if anybody knows me, I'm like really quick with a
Yeah.
comeback, and so for somebody to match me in that, I was really surprised because he comes off as this super like very quiet and like and then he was like saying, and I'm just like, okay, like you kind of want to like you can match my sass a little bit, right? I know. I feel like they have so much in common. But
Right.
I was just
Scary.
like, dang, okay. So and yeah, like we just and he was serious. He was on some like and it's funny because when we both started dating, we neither one of us was just like, okay, I'm like trying to get into a committed relationship. We kind of like, I'm about to just do me, and then all of a sudden, God was just like, nah, y'all gonna be together, and y'all gonna like this is gonna be it. And yeah, so that's how that worked. What about you guys?
So Eric's grandmother used to work with me, and funny thing, Eric's whole family lived in Mississippi where I was, and he was there for about 2 years, and I never met him.
Mm.
I met his whole family. So his grandmother playing matchmaker was like, "You should meet my grandson." And I was like, I don't want to meet your grandson, Miss Betty. And she was like, because I was like, I don't know what this is going to be like. She's like, yeah, he'll be here in a couple of weeks. You can meet him then. I was like, okay. And he came to, because we were at work. I used to work in the bingo hall. And he walks in and up. Of course, she then came and found me. I'm at the concession stand with her. And she's like, this is my grandson, Eric. And I was like, oh my God, he is fine. Wow. Let me walk away. so, so I was like, okay, Miss Betty, your grandson is fine. Okay. And so, we started to talk. He was still in Chicago. I was in Mississippi. I came to visit, and then we just kind of lost touch with each other for like 7 years. And then all of a sudden, he just popped up on my phone again through an email. And I was like, oh, hey. And then I ended up here. I don't know what your version of the
No,
story is.
that's about accurate.
Okay.
This whole fiasco started what
2000.
2000? Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, and I came here in 2001 to visit. So, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been married for 8 years, but started dating Oh
way
man, it's
back.
been like 18 years now.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
Whew.
That's like half my life. I'm
Yeah.
just 40.
Um,
Yeah.
so one thing that we also have in common that I really wanted to talk about because we might be able to get some advice from you guys too, because you guys have been doing it very well, but was about parenting. So do you
Ooh.
want to talk a little bit about just like what your parenting situation is and your parenting journey? Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to start or you
Mm.
start? So, as I said earlier, I was the independent chick, single black mother. Had a son previous. So by the time Eric and I got back together, Kenyatta was in sixth grade. So it was me, Kenyatta for all that time. And then I decided, okay, I'm moving to Chicago. So of course I moved here with a son in middle school
Hmm.
by the time we got back together. And then of course Eric, I'll let you tell your own story.
So during that 7 years we lost touch, I had been married, had two kids, a boy and a girl. So that's what I brought to the equation. So we had stepchildren.
Together.
So that was in a new marriage. That was a dynamic.
Hmm.
By itself.
Hmm.
Talk about
So
that
that means
dynamic.
you have a teenage boy who Eric is not his dad, he's stepdad. Then you have a almost teenage girl who I'm not her mother, and a younger son who I'm not his mother either. So that means they're step parents on both sides,
Hmm.
like from two sides
Right.
versus in your situation one.
Right.
Um, so we both came to the table with children or child.
Hmm.
So that dynamic it took some getting used to, of course. I'm a bit more strict than Eric is. He's the fun parent. I'm the disciplinary parent. So Kenyatta came in like was like, listen, I know that's not your dad, but he's your dad. So had no issue.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to talk about the other side.
No, so the all the moving parts, and I
Yeah.
think so. It's more than just So now your family, there's so many influences on your family, and I think just over the years, everybody's really just trying to figure out like their role,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of head bumping. There's moments of aha and
Yeah.
moments of joy, but getting to those points, there's a lot of confusion and identity. Like, who am I really? Who are you? Who's
Yeah.
the authority?
Who's not?
There's
Yeah.
there's different rules. There's different values, and just everybody, the adults, the children, just trying to navigate and figure out where they fit,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and then just as the parents, or especially me, just trying to constantly wrangle everybody and keep everybody within this circle we call family, because it's easy for someone to you know lose not know who they are and kind of stray away, and
Right.
like, I don't understand anybody, or I'm not understood. So
Hmm.
just trying to wrangle that in with love, just love. Sometimes that's all
Consistent.
you have,
Yeah.
just love, love,
Consistent
love
love.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
you know
And the
so
and the thing is, like you said, Eric, trying to make sure that everybody feels like they're a part of the family
hmm
Yeah.
because that is the hardest piece.
Hmm.
If I feel like I don't belong, and it's funny because I think all of us have more things in common than we do difference. So Erica and I, both of us are middle children. So she and I connect in that way, even though we don't see eye to eye all the time.
Hmm.
But that's something that we have in common. So I totally know how she feels in a lot of situations because
Yeah.
I was the middle child all the time,
Hmm.
still is. And so, thinking about the blended family, the dynamics of two boys, one girl. I'm
Hmm.
the only other female in the house.
Right.
So this whole house is dominated by maleness. And then it's me and Erica. So it's like, okay, even the dog is a male. So it's like how do you navigate that
Hmm.
emotions, hormones, teenagers,
Yeah.
you know, folks coming into age where they're talking and they're saying things that they don't know what they're saying actually. So,
Hmm.
lots of emotions and feelings. And then as a parent, being able to be strong in what we have decided
Right.
is like our house standard.
Right.
And that's, I think, was the hardest part.
Yeah. How did you kind of create that cohesive unit or what are some tips that you might have to do that, being assertive with, the children who are not yours?
So at first, I think for us it was more of Eric being the authority for his two kids, and then Kenyatta, of course, he already knew that he should have fear of me. So, and it was funny because everybody knew not to play with me, but they all knew they would have fun with Eric. So it was more like, if we needed something, we're gonna go ask Dad first, and Dad is gonna say, at some point, Eric and I figured out that they were playing the game with both of us. They would come ask him something and don't tell me, or come ask me something and don't tell him.
Right.
And once we figured that out, it was like, okay, he started sending everybody to me, and then it was like, I'm not asking her. So they
Right.
wouldn't even ask me because they already knew the answer was probably no.
Right.
But I think it was more of us being on the same page.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
feel?
So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah. So I think early on with children, stepchildren, or whatever, you have to realize there's a team. There's me and her, and the opposition is the children,
Yeah.
in a way that they're being witty and cunning, and they're being manipulative, and they know how to play.
Yeah.
They know how to play parents. They know how to play step parents. They know how to play. Well, they learn this. So we have to stay strong and huddle up sometimes in the room where they can't hear, like, okay, this is the game plan. I'm good cop, you bad cop. So it's a it's that constant battle, but we have to be on the same page, and in front of you, you can't show any weakness, any type
Yeah.
of internal any sort of internal conflict amongst us. Oh, that's a sign of weakness. They'll
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
pull,
play.
they'll play it up.
Ooh.
So we have to game plan, huddle up, and be straight and shoot straight.
We in the room like, break.
Yeah.
But and I think the other piece of this was the fact that there was always this competition between who's getting the most attention.
Mm.
So as long as the kids were getting attention, then it was like, I'm good. The moment I enter, or the moment Eric enters the room and the attention shifts to one of us, it's like, what just happened? We
Mm.
were the center of attention. So that kind of thing happens too.
Right.
But
Yeah.
again, we had to just really get to the point, and trust me, it caused a lot of arguments between us. It caused a lot of disagreements because definitely our parenting style is totally different.
Hmm.
Um, Eric is more of the forgiving person, the nurturer. I'm more of, no, you can get this fist, but that's just me. Because that's how I was raised,
Hmm.
and I'm fine. But we have to compromise on that.
Yeah. Did you feel you had to fight against like outside influences too? So like the other parents and stuff like that. Like, how did you overcome that dynamic of saying, okay, this household, and then now when you're in this household, and how did that work?
So for me, it was much easier with Kenyatta because his dad is out of state, so he didn't have a lot of influence on him.
Hmm.
While he was growing up, he would see him, over breaks, but he really didn't have a lot of influence because he wasn't that close to him.
Hmm.
On the other hand, Eric and Eric Jr.'s mother is really close, and they actually live with her. So Kenyatta lived in the house with us, and they didn't live with us for a while, and then they were with us. So
So yeah, it's I mean, major influence. Cause I mean, and it's got to be tough for the kids because they go from from visitation periods, and it's almost like they have to reprogram. They have to,
yeah,
and it takes, you can almost time it. It takes
yep.
it takes about a day for them to be, to to be acclimated to the household and this set of rules and what they
Right.
can say, what they can't say,
Hmm.
and yeah, that outside influence it's a, if the values don't match up, it's a battle.
It
Yeah.
It's
is.
something as simple as, well, I don't take showers on the weekend, or I take my shower on a Monday. Just
Whenever.
that constant scheduling and values and rule is just yeah, it's a it's a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
because
struggle.
I could even say that even when Kenyatta would go visit his father and his grandmother, he would come back a total different person.
Mm.
It could be like a weekend, it could be a week over the summer.
Yeah.
He would come back. It would take me a week to get him back to the house, the house rules, the house
Right.
standards, what we accept, what we don't accept. And it was like pulling teeth because he would come back a different person. I
Yeah.
would be like, what happened to you while you were gone?
That's real. So we can talk a little bit about our story. So I have, of course, Maya from a previous marriage, or my first marriage, and so that and then you've taken on the role of stepfather, and really, I mean, she's just done a great job of accepting you as daddy. But then we do have that dynamic of we co-parent very equally. So her dad, she's with him as much as she's with us. So it is, and we did kind of have that struggle in the beginning too, with like, this is what you do over here. And even before we got married, like I tell him all the time, like I dealt with that because when I got divorced, I had that dynamic of like, okay, if you're doing this over your dad's house, you can't be saying you're gonna do something different over here. So it was that power struggle. On top of the fact that when me and her dad were together, I was the nurturer and he was the disciplinarian. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn a completely different parenting role once we split up. I was just like, oh man, like I can't just be soft mommy anymore. Like I've got to be able to be like, I'm gonna tap your butt. I'm gonna get, you're gonna go on punishment, all this kind of stuff. So that was an interesting dynamic. But you want to talk just a little bit about your experiences as a step parent and how that's been?
It's
It's like if I'm us.
well, just trying to like organize my thoughts and just it's been an experience. I think that's the best word to say is experience. Starting to just like learn all of this, who I am as a parent, who I am as a husband, all of that, and just because like natural parents, they get to spend years learning their child, and then
Yeah.
it's just like you come in, you got a 7-year-old, she looking at you. She needs you to help. She needs you to take her somewhere. She needs you to help her with math homework, and it's just like I'm
What?
still trying to figure out how to take care of myself.
Right.
It's it's been an experience. I yeah.
What do you think has been so far your biggest triumph and your biggest test?
Ooh.
I think the biggest triumph has been those moments of just like parent moments, like the when you went to Georgia and like
That's what I was
I
like.
pretty much just had a week alone with the taking her to a birthday party or just
Oh wow.
hanging out at the house playing or just stuff like that. Um, the biggest test has been earning her respect,
Mm.
and just trying to draw that line of I'm on your side, but I'm not gonna let you walk over me.
Mm-hmm.
It's that has also been an
Yeah.
experience.
I think that's probably our biggest test right now, and that's the
Yeah.
transitional period we're in. It's very much like, okay, I'm testing you as much as possible. I feel like she's hazing him a little bit, and it's very much. And she has a very strong personality. For anybody who knows her, she has a very strong personality,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that, again, I think it's easier for me to. We were talking about this earlier. It's easier for me to snap back from because I'm like, oh, but that's my baby, and I love you, and like I've been here long enough to know how to navigate that. Versus like when you're new, it's like you're coming in and you're just like, I'm doing everything for you. Why are you being such a jerk? On top of the fact that the developmental age that she's in, like she just turned 8, and so that's one thing I know that even just physiologically, like that part of her brain that has like empathy and like being able to not be selfish is not fully developed yet. So it's just like
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm constantly like a broken record on that, like that's not what she's just gonna immediately fall to. Like she's a great kid, but she's still going to be an 8-year-old and she's still going to test you and she's still going to, she tests me, but I just shut it down quicker because I've been shutting it down for longer. And I think that's been our biggest challenge though, for me it's been not to step in, because I feel like they have to cultivate that relationship on their own too, of knowing like, you know, you have to build that, and it's like if I keep stepping in and saying, well, do this, or you know, or no, you can't do this or something, like I back him up, but I can't step in and then take over the situation either, and just be like, okay, well now, like I feel like, you know, I have to give him that opportunity too. So that's an interesting place to be in. And now we're in a switch.
Yeah.
So during the school year, she's with her dad the majority of the time, but during the summer, she's going to be with us all throughout the week. And so we've kind of been mentally preparing for this time, because, you know, we've now got a couple of months where it's just like we on full-time duty.
Right.
And it's going to be a lot of days when I'm at work and they're at home.
Right.
I am working on not taking it personal.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, question for you both. Um, like you said, you sometimes have to take a step back while he's doing whatever with her. What happens when you have an idea of what should happen, but you're not gonna step in, and then he decides to do something else that you don't particularly agree with, but you don't say anything in the midst of it?
Um, I think I will never correct him in front of her. Because I don't ever want to like undermine his like authority or anything like that. So I'll then make sure like I'll let him handle it. But if I see something like, if something happens and I'm just like, that's not the way I would have did it, or that's not how I've done it in the past, then I'll be like, you know, I'll make sure we're alone and then say, okay, when this happened, you know, this is the way that it could have gone better, or this is like something that I found works better. And then if I feel like it was something that may have been wrong, or she might have received it wrong, like I'll encourage him to apologize and say, you know, I know that this is usually, you know, whatever. Is it okay if I use the changing example? So like, for instance, the other day, Maya was getting ready, and her cousin was there. And so they're only a year apart. And so she had kicked her out because I told her like, oh, you know, when you're changing clothes, nobody should be around. And so he was just like, oh, Maya, don't kick your cousin out. You know, you guys are both girls. It's okay. But he told me about it, and I was just like, well, no, I tell her that no matter who it is, because she's in this age where everything's changing, a lot of things, I was like, you know, she should just be respecting her privacy. Like, I even try not to go into the room when she's changing, you know, all of that. So I told him like, you know, that's just not how I've been teaching her. So, you know, I'd like you to go and apologize to her and tell her like you didn't know and everything. And so then that's like, we handled it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wonder, because he and I have different opinions on a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it works
Of
out.
course.
But
Yeah.
like Eric says, I have LaTonja language. He has Eric language. Two different things.
Yeah.
Like, right?
Yeah, I'm more sensitive, more careful. My wife comes in like a dull axe.
Not an axe, but a dull axe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
adult ex. Oh my gosh. When you've been married this long, you can say stuff like
I
that.
see. I love it. You know, I think that you need that though. You need that balance, right? Because I think even me and her natural father, like, we're completely different people, and how we parent is so different. But I see how she needs the balance, you know, because even though I can be more of a disciplinarian, I'm still very much the fun parent. I call myself like the hippie parent, because I'm like, we're gonna learn by going and playing in the flowers. We're gonna learn because, you know, we're gonna do, and it's like I don't necessarily say, you know, whereas he might be like, I run a tight ship, we got to do this and this and this and this and this. Whereas me, I'm just like, we have a plan. If we don't stick to the plan, then, you know, it's okay. We decided to finger paint instead, you know, like, so I know the balance, because I've even noticed, you know, as she gets older, how she'll come to me. Sometimes she feels more free, you know, she'll feel like, okay, I don't have to be so constrained. I don't have to. And I think also because I'm a therapist, and so I do a lot of emotional intelligence stuff with her, and I'm like, tell me your feelings, check in with me today, how are you feeling, you know, or like all that, you know. But I really encourage her to embrace that. And so because that's not his you know, his nature, he doesn't do that. So I see how it's changed our relationship. So you definitely need that balance.
Yeah.
You know, and then you do need some people just to say no, you know. And I was even telling Cliff, I was just like, sometimes she just needs to hear say no. Like, I'm all about you be independent, and your opinions are very valid, but sometimes I'm just the adult, and what I say goes. And it's like you mentioned earlier, LaTonja, about that fear needs to be there. And one of your biggest fears was like, not wanting to parent out of fear. But I think a healthy dose of fear sometimes is necessary, especially when they're younger, because they might not always know how to process, like, okay, I'm doing this just because this is right, but it might just be like, I don't want to get, that's actually I'm gonna have to look it up. It's actually like a psychological thing about doing things because it's right, doing things because you inherently know that, it right from wrong, or if you're doing it out of performance. And kids go through various levels. I will link what that is as soon as I remember what it is, but it is a stage of development where they go through being able to say, any of my social workers out in the crowd, if y'all know what it is, please chime in. But they go through it's I just thought about it. It's some psychologist moral. It's phases of moral development. And so their morals do change. So they go from, I'm doing this because I'm performing and because this is what's right, to now I'm doing this because, I know that this is where my moral compass is and this is what I want to do, and I want to do versus I'm just going to get in trouble if I do wrong.
Right.
And that's a very real thing.
Yeah, so, and I don't want people to think that I'm just like beating people up every day. When I speak of fear, I'm speaking of respect. And because if you think about it, a lot of children don't respect anybody these days.
Right.
They don't respect their parents, they don't respect teachers, they don't respect anybody.
Yeah.
So when I say fear, I feared my mother and everybody else in my family because I respected them for who they were as adults.
Yeah.
So Eric has this like kind of hard hierarchy of fear, respect, whatever. I don't know what it is. I can't remember.
So I say that as far so I think love is a bond. Love, makes you do things. Well, when love isn't there, well, love is weak. Respect is the next thing.
Yeah.
So, out of respect, I don't do things, or I do things. And then even when respect is lost, you always have fear. I
Right.
won't do things because I fear you,
Right.
and that's probably one of the strongest things.
Yeah.
So there's a combination of those things when you come to parenting.
Yeah.
I love you, Dad. I love you, and I respect you, and I flat out fear you.
Yeah.
Right. I'm scared.
That's
I
real.
don't know what you may do.
I just found it, and thank you, Kelly. So it's Kohlberg's theory of moral development. And so I'm gonna go over, because these are, and this is something I had to learn too. But so it goes from infancy to adulthood, and so that first level is in infancy, and it's obedience and punishment. And so it's no difference between doing the right thing and avoiding punishment. The second stage happens in preschool. It's self-interest. So interest shifts to rewards rather than punishment. Effort is made to secure greatest benefit for oneself. So that's where you'll see that, selfish of like, what do I get if I do the right thing? Oh, do I get ice cream if I do the right thing? Do I get to stay up later because I'm doing the right thing? School age is conformity and interpersonal accord. So it's the good boy or girl level. Effort is made to secure approval and maintain friendly relations with others. So we'll see a lot of this like in school age, when it's driven by, oh, my teacher thinks I'm being good. She says that I have good manners and all of that. And so where it's like at home, it might be a different thing. It's like, you act so good at school. Why are you, clowning at home? And it's like, well, that reward and that, effort is being noticed at school. Authority and social order. And this is school age as well. So orientation toward fixed rules. So the purpose of morality is maintaining the social order. Interpersonal accord is expanded to include the entire society. So that's where we see, okay, this is what's right and wrong in the society. So I don't do this because it's wrong. I don't steal. I don't lie. I don't, all of that. In teenage years, social contract. So there's mutual benefit and reciprocity. Morally right and legally right are not always the same. Utilitarian rules that make life better for everyone. And then when we finally move into adulthood, it's universal principles. So morality is based on principles that transcend mutual benefit. So it's not just how is it serving me, but my morality transcends all of that, and this is my moral compass fully developed.
That's good.
Yeah. And so it's so interesting, because I'll see some of the challenges, and it's like even the most mature child, you still have to look at like, okay, but developmentally, like you might not fully be there. So it teaches you more grace and patience. I think that's like the biggest thing that I've learned, even just from parenting, is like I gotta be patient.
Right. Rachel was my patience all last summer. That's
Oh
all I'm
Lord.
gonna say. Lord Jesus.
And I don't know who was and I don't know. Maybe you just telling me I couldn't quit. We worked we worked with Freedom School last summer, and them kids, like everybody who knows me knows, I said the kids are not my ministry because
She did.
it's just, and I think it's because I know that, not that they're stuck in these stages, but I know that if I can enforce it all I want, but if it's not being enforced at home, if it's not being
Right.
enforced around, like, all the other people, then it's like, you're not going to stay in the stage. So it's like, you don't know, and that's one thing where we were even talking about earlier is like, it's our job to parent them because we're supposed to have more experience than they are. We're supposed to
Right.
be more
Right.
emotionally intelligent. So it's almost like we sometimes have to put our pride aside and be able to say, I know that they hurt my feelings, but
But
it's also valid to tell them that because I think that that's not a conversation that a lot of parents will have either, saying like, you're not, you hurt my feelings. When you do this, it hurt my feelings. And that's one way I've been trying to teach Maya empathy is saying, she'll do something and I'll be like kind of hurt by it. And then the next minute she's cool and she wants to hang out. And I'm like, I don't feel like being
no.
around you right now. I was like, I don't, I love you, but I don't like you right now. And you hurt my feelings and I don't want to be around you. And like really showing her like, you like just because I'm your mom doesn't mean that you can just treat me any kind of way. Like I'm a person
Mhm.
with feelings too. And just like you want me to value your feelings, you got to value my feelings.
So it's interesting that you say that because I just had that happen to me, um, and I didn't feel the need to say anything. I
Mm.
just was like, I ain't having no conversation because I'm the adult and I shouldn't have to go to you and say you hurt my feelings, which he encouraged me to do, but I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
I did.
He was like, you should go talk to him, and I was like, no, I'm not talking to him because he hurt my feelings. I didn't say he hurt my feelings, but I was like, he was just because what happened was really just like out of control, and it
Mm.
should not have happened. And I was thinking to myself, when I was that age, did I act? I always go back to when I was that age. Did
Mm-hmm.
I act that way when I probably would have got killed? But my feelings were really hurt by what was said, and and it just went on and on, and so I just decided I ain't gonna talk to you then.
Mm.
I don't, like you said, I don't like you right now, so
Right.
I'm not gonna talk to you, and I didn't talk to
Yeah.
him. And so Eric was like, "You should go talk to him." No,
Yeah, go tell him how angry you were, how hurtful the things he said were.
nothing.
Go so he understands that what he said has consequences, and
Right.
it just not brush over. Let's just not pass over this. Let's understand this moment.
Right.
So
You see my face?
Do you feel so
No,
from your perspective? Because again, this is all stuff like you're trying to like learn. Do you feel you're able to express that like when your feelings are hurt or like in that like what does that look like for you?
Um, I think so far I've been more of the I'm not gonna talk to you type. It doesn't work too well because she won't let you not pay attention to her.
Mm-mm.
So like I just have to get over it. There's been a lot of getting over it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've never just like expressed the whole you hurt my feelings with this type of thing. I think the only thing that has been similar to that is when I've tried to express to her like when she does push me like a little too much,
yeah.
and like I have to just like put that bass in my voice and like later come back and explain this and that and this. I'm not gonna let you do this to me. Um, that's about as far as I've gotten towards that.
But it's so interesting because you do it so well for me though. You advocate so like he'll go in there and be like, "Now Maya, you know you hurt your mom when you did this. You know your mom wants to feel appreciated. You know you want." So it's like you do it really really well. For me. So that's an interesting dynamic. One thing I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you guys. So how do you deal with, especially when it comes to your stepchildren? I love you, but I don't like you.
I don't like, and I was just about to say that. Because I fear that because of my personality, I have a very strong personality. I fear that I may say something that I should not say to them.
Mm.
So I just prefer not to say anything. Because I'm not one of those people that, and Eric and I even struggle with this with him, even telling him how I feel for real.
Mm-hmm.
Because I may, and I try to walk away. When I said I walk away, I try to walk away because I know that if I really said how I felt in the moment, it may not be good, and
Mm.
and I may regret saying something that I've said because I've done that before and it didn't work out well.
Mm.
So for me, it's hard for me to even say to someone else what I'm really feeling at the moment.
Mm.
So even thinking about it 2 days later, and he was like, "You should talk to him." I was like, "No," because whatever may come out, because I may relive the whole situation
Right.
as traumatic as it was to me, and be like, "Nah, I can't talk to you."
Yeah.
So that's my own thing that I have to work on.
Mm.
See, and for me, I can't. I need to fix it. I need some resolution. I think first part of that is let's understand and recognize the problem. But as far as dealing with that with stepchildren, I was pretty much blessed there. Kenyatta's just as laid back and cool, and we was like, even outside of mom, our own our relationship was like we best buddies. Let's play some Madden. Let's go,
Man, I was
you know,
jealous because I was like, "This is crazy."
all of that. But in times of I have to get mean and tell him that I don't like you right now, the things you've done. He's I mean, he's just pretty receptive. Never talked back. He's pretty understanding.
Yeah.
Um, didn't repeat the same action. So I mean, I guess I understand now. I've just been blessed to have a stepchild like that.
Yeah. How do you
Like I
not
said,
take things personally? Because kids can say some really, kids are very honest. And they will tell you your breath stink. They will tell you, like, you being, like, they will say all kind of stuff that it's just like, wait, what? They just really don't have a
what?
filter sometimes. So how do you not take that personally and, like, still, I guess, and whether it's stepchild, natural child, whatever, like, how do you not take that personally?
I,
So I think for me, it depends on what was said and who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hi, mom. I see my mom on the
Hey,
front,
Miss
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
For me, it depends on what happened, what was said, and who said it. Because if it's somebody else's child and they say something out of the way, it doesn't really affect me because I don't have to see you again. You can go home with your parents. But when it's somebody that's close to me and you intentionally said something to hurt my feelings on purpose, intentionally over and over again have said some things, which is what happened in this case. I Yeah, I take it personal because you personally attacked me
Right.
when I did nothing to you. So, depending on the situation, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
yeah, I think you can't help but take it personal. I mean, well, me, if I'm honest with myself, you can't help but I think your first humanly reaction is to take it personal,
Right.
and then after some thought and some and reflecting on your maturity and your adulthood, then you start dissecting it and convincing yourself to not take it personal. But I think your first natural reaction is to take it personal.
Right. That's real.
Yeah. But that's being honest with yourself, though.
Yeah. And I think that's where it also comes with being able to have those conversations too, like making them aware of the emotions and everything too, and letting
Yeah.
them know like that's not okay. Like you can't just say stuff like that. And it's teaching them that filter because I know adults 40 and 50 who don't have a filter, and it's like that wasn't
Jesus.
reinforced. It's like that meme that's going on. Like some of y'all didn't get that reinforced, and it shows like some of y'all didn't get emotional intelligence and filters taught to you as a kid, and it shows like.
Right.
So that's important. I think that's part of our job too, is being able to say like, this is how it should. Because if you go out in the real world, like they're not gonna be as nice as mom and dad,
Right. Right.
and you'll get your feelings hurt real quick. So
Real quick. Because the world is not fun
no.
sometimes. I have a question for you all. I know we like at the hour.
Okay.
So what is the hardest thing, well, the most difficult thing about marriage for you all right now? 6 months in.
Mm.
Or has there been any blow ups? I want the tea.
There, so to answer that question, no, we haven't had any blow ups. I think part of that too is like and this is something I had wanted to ask Eric too, because I had been married before. I knew a lot of things. Like I tell people like I don't glorify divorce, but my divorce taught me so much about how to be a wife.
Yeah.
And so I saw a lot of the unhealthy habits that I had in my first marriage, and so I really tried to translate and like to transform into create a completely different experience. Besides the fact that I'm a completely different person now,
Hmm.
and so like I think yeah, I mean, our communication is really, really good. And so if I am like, I usually try to find like sense it really early, like if I'm upset, and then be able to talk. But I think you do a really great job. You're like, and it's like sometimes I tell you like, don't be afraid of making me upset, because it's just like it's gonna happen. But like you're really cautious with like always kind of checking in and make sure like, oh, I didn't say that wrong, did I? Or like, you okay and all that. So it's like I didn't. If anything, I'll get upset because you'll apologize too much, or because you'll be like, and I'm just like, no, just if you're mad, be mad, do you? And then you're like, no, it's okay. I'm like, no, it's not okay. And then you look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, okay, a little bit. So, but I think the hardest thing, honestly, for me, it's been adjusting to living with someone else. I think I had got comfortable, kind of being on my
Hmm.
own, and I had got comfortable with my own space and and not really having to put someone else first. And so like it's very intentional, like because sometimes I'm like I don't want to engage, I don't want to, like I don't want to share my food. I don't. That's been a big one too. I was like, I don't want to share food. If I make something and I'm like, I will make you some, but she's like, no. But then as soon as I sit down, you want to bite in my plate. No, like I offered to make you some. Like, so now I don't even ask. I just will make enough to, or I'll voluntarily share. So like last night, oh, I made this delicious steak, and I was like, I know he's gonna ask for some, so I just cut him to pieces already and was like, here, and I'm just like, so it's really just knowing that like that's probably the little things. It's just like giving up my space, giving up my like, and being like, oh, I have to like live and navigate around somebody again, and not just be like, this is how I want to do it. Being open to saying, okay, we can do, we can do it a different way. What about you? What's the hardest thing?
I think the hardest adjustment and the increased responsibility.
Mm.
Mm.
I can't just do me anymore. I can't just take my paycheck and blow it on liquor and PlayStation. I have to
That's a
consider.
real talk.
I have people to consider.
I mean, you could. I'm not saying
But
you'll
I'm not
end
going
well,
to.
but
But yeah, just having to having to consider more than just me.
mm,
It's daunting.
Yeah.
yeah. What about you guys? So almost 8 years in, what is the hardest thing for you guys right now?
It's interesting for me because we went into this and we felt like, so number one, this is Eric's second go around, my first. So I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Like
Mm-hmm.
you and Eric have had a chance to kind of evaluate this marriage thing and how to do
Mm-hmm.
it different. Me and Cliff were over here like, we're floundering. We don't know what's going on. um, so for me, it has been like we both felt like at some point, people tell you get married, get married. We've been bamboozled. This is not what we signed up for. Like people told you to get married, it would be great. So Eric said it's like graduation. You graduate, like you have the big marriage, the wedding, and then it's like you start working then versus graduation. You're ending something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's for me. It has been. Am I doing this right? Eric probably gonna be mad with me. He be mad at me sometimes. He annoys me. I can't stand him right now. He probably hate me because I know I get on his nerves. The thought that at some points throughout the 8 years we have grown apart, we have grown
Mm-hmm.
together, and I think you said it best one day when you were like our paths kind of cross like each other in some way. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
in school, I'm in school. We were not in school at some point, We had more time, so we grow apart and together, and the apartness scares me a little sometimes.
Mm.
So I don't know what your take is on it.
So the toughest thing about marriage, well, two things. Number one, like you said, you go into this thing blind,
Yeah.
and not realizing that in a lifetime, how many versions of Eric I'm gonna be. So
That's so
how many
good.
versions and how many versions of LaTonja I'm gonna be married to,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and so it's almost cyclic to where we kind of change every few years,
Yep.
and I to learn to love that LaTonja, and LaTonja
Mm-hmm.
learning to love this Eric,
Yeah.
and then I
Yeah.
might go new interests, new temperament,
Right.
Mm.
new whatever it is. Can LaTonja learn to love this Eric? And
Right.
so over these years, that's been the toughest thing to just I think after you realize it, it's not so tough,
Right.
but coming to that understanding that over over the course of this marriage, I'm gonna have to learn to love many versions of LaTonja, and the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the toughest things. Uh, Secondly, I would say just communication.
Absolutely.
Just naturally, we're wired differently. We take in and give out information differently. So I call it. I'm a I'm a sophomore in LaTonja language. I know that I know that I have to pay attention to what you're saying, but for me, I have to pick out those nuggets of important information because they're going to be nestled and embedded in what she ate for lunch or who made her mad, and there may be an important appointment statement in there. So just communication.
Mhm.
You never it's it can never be too plain. It can never be. It may seem comedic to say, "Hey, Latanja, at 3 p.m. I'm going to be here," but sometimes it has to be that plain because
Mm-hmm.
it could easily be misinterpreted
Yep.
as, "Yeah,
Yep.
I'm
I'm
thinking about going there, but I'm not.
I'm leaving work and I'm coming straight home." Hey,
Yeah,
where are
that's
you?
me.
Oh, I stopped at the grocery store. Well, that's not what you said. Well,
Right.
I thought that was implied. Well, no, sometimes it has to be simple as I'm
Right.
leaving work. I'm stopping
Going
at the
to the
P.O.
grocery
box.
store. Yeah,
So
that
Right.
kind of thing.
communication is one of the toughest things.
Yeah.
And I can say that every couple that we've asked that has been married for years and years and years, of course, 8 years is nothing for somebody who's been married 30, 20
No.
years. And
Mm.
I can specifically remember asking one of the mothers at the church that we used to go to how long she had been married to her husband. Her husband at that point was deceased. And the first thing she said to us was communication. You need to
Mm.
communicate. And she went into this like whole spiel about communication. And every couple that I've asked who's been married more than 20 years, they've said the exact same thing
Yeah. That's good.
over and over and over again.
Yeah. So kind of as a wrap up question, where are you hoping your marriage goes within the next 3 years?
Ooh, all over the world. I'm just kidding. For real though, yeah. I am hoping that we continue to learn to communicate better, and as Eric said, learn to love the whole of me, the whole of him
Mm-hmm.
together. Because, like he said, we're constantly changing, we're constantly learning. We're both students of the world, students of whatever we do, our crafts. Um, just learning to love our whole selves, the flaws and all, because most people they have this kind of standard of this person has to be this. They have to check, get all the check marks when honestly none of us meet that list. So
Mm-hmm.
learning to love the flaws and all in all
Yeah.
that we do.
Yeah.
I think the planets just aligned because I don't have much more to add to that. So yeah. I hope over the next 3 years, like I said, it seems to be a cycle.
Yeah.
I'm hoping during this cycle that it's one of those rebounds we kind of pass and kind of in that 3 years grow together,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
um, and yeah, just value, realize that our time our time here is limited, so we just,
Yeah.
really, really value that. Put a real increase the value of time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. What about you all?
I'm hoping that the unit that we are together is just on the way to something big, that like, or just on the way to something meaningful. I want us to be a good example to people. I want us to be on the way to something that's making an impact and just like making things better. And just I want us to be at the point of our like in our individual and collective lives where we can write our own rules.
Mm, absolutely.
That's good. Um, That's good. I definitely want us to be, working towards something meaningful. The first thing that popped into my mind was like creating something together. That's been a really big desire. I really feel like marriage being a ministry, so it's like I want us to create, and we're both so creative, so like figuring out like how we can use our creativity together and like just do something that like has both of our names on it. And I'd really like us, to increase our communication even better, to really be solid in our identity, just as like who we are as individuals and who we are as a couple,
Nice.
and just being better parents, and then starting our own family, and growing that and just really cultivating that.
Yay. That
Yeah.
just made me happy inside.
Right, and then for what, for I know, I think your daddy and mom. It's no time soon. Ain't nothing happened. That wasn't an announcement. It's just a surprise. Because everybody
Like
they be
we
like,
ain't
"Oh, so
did
wait, what
nothing yet.
happened, y'all?
Wait,
You,
what?
you trying to say something? Like,
Hmm.
oh, not yet, not yet." So yeah, well, thank you guys for coming on and talking and being honest, and love it. You guys are a great example. Y'all are one of my favorite couples because you show the balance between like, okay, I'm so busy and I had like, because I like anybody knows I'm like, y'all are super people because y'all do so much, and but you still find time like to have fun and to do things and to show that it is important to like really date your spouse.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. Thanks for the invite.
Yes,
No
this was fun.
problem. And I'm going to, so for those, I saw a couple of people in the comments who were asking, saying they wanted to take the quiz. You can find the quiz on 5lovelanguages.com. It has the love languages as well as the apology languages. It also has an anger assessment. So there's an assessment that you can
I
take
need
to
to
see
take
how
that.
well are you dealing with your anger. Because that's important too, right? Because
Yeah.
there's healthy anger, but there's also unhealthy anger. And so like how you deal with that. I'm also going to link to Kohlberg's stages of moral development. And again, if you guys have any questions, if you want to reach out, feel free to reach out, send a direct message if there are questions that you have that maybe we didn't answer in the live stream. Other than that, thank you guys again, Ellis's, and I will see everybody next Thursday. Thank you for joining, being part of
Anytime.
this.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good
Goodbye.
night.